Hello and welcome back to Riverbend Springs. What a year we've had so far. Riverbend has just been ravaged by a tornado. Now luckily our farm was unharmed, but not the same for Noah's forest here. He got quite a few trees knocked down, as this is the direct path of the tornado. But he's not too worried about it, and he did offer us, since he's heard about our new sawmill, that if we want we can cut some of these down and get them milled, since he has a little use for them. So I think we will just do that. But we're now in April and there is lots to do. And our first stop of the day is the shop, where we're gonna buy some new equipment. Here we are. We just bought a brand new manure spreader, which you can use to spread lime as well. And since this year is gonna be all about yield improvement, I thought that would be a good purchase. We also have a couple of sacks of seed. We are gonna need that, as today we need to get crops in the ground. So a busy day today, as we also have our grass field ready. So we'll get the seed bags picked up and we'll get our spreader back to the farm. And the first step is getting our arable field spread with lime, since we can't work in our grass field until we mow it. And yeah, today is the day we need to get seeds in. So let's take all of this back to the farm. We can get our seed bags dropped off here. Now we can head on and fill our spreader at the lime station, and that happens to be just located next to our grass field, so it's not a long trip. A little bit pricey, but hopefully we'll make up for that in yield bonuses. Well, let's head on back to the field and get our GPS set up. Alright, GPS all set. We can get the gate up. Then we're ready to fire away. Here we go. We'll get the field all limed up, and I will see you when we're done. And there we go, a fully limed field. I'm just gonna empty out the spreader here, and we don't have to worry about the lime firming up in there and clogging things. So we'll have a nice empty spreader ready for the next time we have to use it. And then we're also not restricted to only keeping it inside. However, we have this nice shed over here and we might as well store it in. There we go. While we were spreading lime, we got a call from Grandpa Walter, who is getting very anxious to start his shed. So we have some nice planks all milled up. So we'll go ahead and get them over to the building site so I can start his building project. There we go. All the wood Grandpa Walter needs for now is by the shed, so he can start his building, and the extra wood is in shelter from the elements, which is good. There we go. It is a building already. So, time to drop off our front loader. Then we are heading to the store to buy a new planter. Yes, this year's crop will be soybeans, and for that we need a planter. And we have found something quite nice. So we can head on over and get that bought. We are gonna need our front weight. And then we can head on over to the store and buy our new planter. Here it is, John Deere 1720 12-row planter. Looking quite nice, so let's get that hooked up. Yes, a little John Deere here really does feel it, and is quite a big planter. But that's good. We are planning on expanding our farm, and having bigger equipment is an absolute must. But I think we need our beacons and probably our hazards on the way, since we are so wide. So let's head on back. We need to get our tractor refueled and our planter topped off, and then we are off planting our soybeans. Alright, we're all topped off with seed. Now we can head on to the start of the field, get our GPS set up, and then we are off planting soybeans. Now this should be a fairly quick job, given how wide this planter is. So let's get cracking, and I will see you when we're done. There we go. That's a field of soybeans planted. So we can get our planter put away for a year. Now this will grow. We will come back later on and hit it with a round of fertilizer. But we will do that at the same time as we do our grass field, which is our next job. Now to keep our schedule with the mowing, we need to get that taken care of today. So yeah, that's gonna be the next step. I think we will stash our planter in here for the time being. If it fits, let's get it lowered. There we go. So yeah, need to get it all baled up, our grass, into silage. And as we've done it many times before, I'm gonna have the whole process as one big time lapse. So we will get cracking on that. And I will see you when we're done. And there we go. Now the fertilizing will have to wait until next time, as I realized we need to spread some lime on our grass as well. So we want to do that first before we do the round of fertilizer. Then we can get both of these fertilized up. And then we'll be all set for now. Then we just have to wait for these soybeans to grow. But that means this is all for today. So if you like, drop a like. If you have any comments, leave them down below. And subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you in the next one.